guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Happy Monday. Hey, Joan. Good to see you. Seth. Hey, Molson Man. Cement Shoes. Tony. So good to see everybody tonight. I appreciate you being here. Okay. Um, so what should we start with? Should we start with the shenanigans that have taken place over the course of the Darrell Brooks trial? Hey, Corky. Hey, Mrs. M. Good to see you both. Should we start with the Pike County, or do you guys want to see the new trailer for the Dahmer series I'm working on? You guys tell me. So, while I wait for you guys to tell me, so the choices are Brooks, Pike, Dahmer. All right. So while we wait for you guys to tell me, because I know there's like a 20-second delay, if you haven't done so already, would you please give girl a thumbs up on the stream? Or you can give me a thumbs down if you just want to see what it does. I don't mind. I'm seeing trailers, which is exciting because I really wanted to play it. All right, hold on. Let me fetch it for you. I'm still working on it. It's a little rough. I just want to fine tune it a little bit. But let's see. Are you ready? All right, it's uploading. All right, here we go. Hopefully this works. If it doesn't, I'll just upload it to StreamYard and not go through share. All right, here we go.
After the second time, it seemed like the compulsion to do it was too strong, and I didn't even try to stop it after that. So no, race had nothing to do with it. It was just their looks. After
That was super glitchy. I should have uploaded it to StreamYard. I think it would have played better. But there you go. I'll be premiering the first episode Thursday night because there's no court on Thursday in Pike. So that's what we're gonna do on Thursday is I'll play Dahmer for you guys. Ooh, cement. Thank you. Thank you guys. Thank you, Mrs. M. Cement Shoes, hit me up. Send me that information. I'd appreciate it. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do Darrell because this is what I'm thinking. So yes, I have like a recap ready to go. Like I didn't make it or anything. I just know where to find it. And for Pike, but I wanted to get a little bit more into Pike because I wasn't live on Sunday because I was working on that trailer. And so I wanted to make sure that I really want to go over the ex-wife of Jake. I wanted to go over her testimony. Beth is her name. And because I really feel like what was interesting to me, and I think you guys will probably feel the same, is that while Tabitha, who was married to George Wagner at one point, Tabitha and George divorced before the murders. Okay. So Tabitha's testimony was really good at talking about the way that the Wagner family functioned prior to the murders. But Beth married Jake after the murders, after they had moved to Alaska. She met him in Alaska and married him in Alaska, and then she came back to Ohio with him. So she gives really, really excellent testimony about. Um, um, Thank you, Molson, for giving Cement Shoes my email. Her testimony was excellent at talking about the way that the Wagner family behaved after the murders, and specifically George, because George's defense is well, it's basically the Shaggy defense. It wasn't me. That's part of it, right? And then the other part of it is, oh, I'm distancing myself from the family. Well, her testimony was what she testified that that couldn't be further from the truth, that they all functioned as a single unit. And the other thing that her testimony proved is the way that the family dynamics, which I thought was amazing. She did an excellent job doing that. And then there was the forensic accountant, and he did an excellent job at tying them all together as financially. And then there was the recorded test, the interception recordings, and they have Angela and George Wagner on the phone discussing the home that they were looking at in Alaska. And essentially, you know, I'm I'm distancing myself. I'm not like these other Wagners, right? That defense does not work when you hear the recorded phone calls between George and his mom, because they're put they're going to put the new house, they're going to rent this new house in Alaska in George's name. And George doesn't object about that. He doesn't say, "Oh no, you're not getting my credit involved." No, no, no. He he asks Angela a ton of questions about the property, right? And then as she's answering, he's asking follow-up questions. And then there's another recorded conversation between the two of them where he is telling her about a grandson and grandfather team. They are business partners together, and they sell deer jerky in the summer to the tourists in Alaska, and how much money they make. And that might be a potential business venture for the Wagners to undertake. So the bottom line is, the his defense of "I'm separating myself" is utter and complete poppycock. And although I'm very annoyed at the fact that Jake's testimony was not aired because he opted out, and it'll probably be the same tomorrow because I don't foresee them being finished with him. So, all right, hang on just 1 second. All right. So, bruh, they have a ton of let's see what this one's about. All right, hold on. I will say this. Shout out to Law and Crime Network because they make these smaller clips of like long days and hey Steffa, good to see you, and break it all down into bite-sized pieces of shenanigans. And so I appreciate that. All right, so hold on, let me add this to the stream. This is where the DA is going to go at Mr. Brooks, and then we'll get into we're going to get into the Pike one, but I just wanted to go through a little bit of this because tomorrow is closing statements, and I know that Jake is going to be testifying tomorrow, so I'm going to cover the closing statements in the Darrell Brooks trial. Are we ready? Let me go ahead and turn on subtitles just in case. Let me rewind it all the way, and let's see what occurs here.
Thing worth noting is the testimony of Detective Casey that this video was obtained from the defendant's own Facebook account as well. The court is well aware.
He said social media.
Nothing that.
He didn't say what it was.
Sir, stop interrupting. We have to make a record of it. You've
Interrupted
multiple times. I've been abundantly patient with you. Again, another interruption. So you need to be quiet and let the state make a record. Stop gesturing at me. Stop rolling your eyes at me. Stop mumbling.
I'm looking right at you. I'm not rolling my eyes.
No, you have throughout. I've seen it and I've made note of it.
I'm looking at you. Okay, so are you asking me to be quiet or are you telling me to be quiet?
Both.
Go ahead, Attorney Opper.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm gonna take that
and
as
just
asking.
to indicate, Your Honor, this court has been abundantly patient with Mr. Brooks. He challenges the court's authority repeatedly. This court absolutely has the ability to tell him, sit down and be quiet. And you haven't done that. And I know why you haven't done that, Your Honor, and we appreciate that. He is not in control of this courtroom. You are. And he needs to respect that. This video was relevant based on his questioning of Detective Casey, as you just indicated, challenging his ability to identify the person who had their back turned to the camera in the still shot of State's Exhibit 175. Trials are fluid. When he opened the door to that, we came up with the video, which Detective Casey testified repeatedly on direct examination and cross-examination as to how he knew that was Mr. Brooks, because he had seen the rest of the video. He would not accept that. He pushed it and pushed it and pushed it until we played the video. The lyrics of that video probably would have been prejudicial.
Thank you,
Originally, I wasn't going to ask for volume. Then I did because he pushed it again, and his voice and his mannerism of speech, I thought would have assisted the jury in identifying Mr. Brooks as the person in the video with the red SUV. However, you smartly asked me to play it without the audio, and I did that, and then I never went back to that. This is all to the benefit of this defendant, who continues to suggest and impugn the integrity of this court and this prosecution.
Tell it, sis.
Without basis. He doesn't like it because the evidence is stacking up and stacking up. And whenever it does, his response is to accuse you, the court, or the prosecutors of being unethical and hiding things. Okay. There is nothing in law that prevents me from pulling something out of my briefcase right now and making it an exhibit if it's relevant. You decide what's relevant, what's admissible, not Mr. Brooks. There is no law, he can cite to no law, no authority whatsoever that says I can't make an exhibit essentially on the fly if it's called for, and that's exactly what just happened here.
Oh, dear.
So I apologize for my tone with the court. I don't mean to direct this at the court. It is very frustrating. The court has demonstrated much more patience than I have with Mr. Brooks because, again, I do not appreciate his
Margo, good to see you.
impugning the integrity of these proceedings, of your honor's efforts to run a fair trial, and of our efforts to run a fair trial. We have ethical obligations as well to be fair in this courtroom. We have respected that entirely.
That's very rude of me.
The reason I was laughing 30 seconds
We
ago
will
was
both
because
be here for it,
the
Corky.
exhibit
I
was
will be
mislabeled.
streaming
There was an
it.
extra
Yes,
Y and
I
it said
will.
Exhibity,
Every moment of this.
EXHIBITY. And I turned around to the paralegal and pointed that out, and we laughed over it, the word exhibity.
Yeah, I would
That
laugh
was
at the
it. There
word
has been no
exhibity.
disrespect directed at Mr. Brooks directly in any fashion. So he can object all he wants, and he has made that clear. He will continue to object and obstruct the court and
I will
obstruct these
continue to
proceedings
laugh at the
every
word
last chance he
exhibity.
gets.
Sure
But
will.
legally,
Mhm.
everything has been above board and proper, and this exhibit is no exception.
Amen.
I apologize for my tone, Judge.
Thank you. I appreciate that additional record being made.
I object to that.
Of
My
course you do.
previous ruling doesn't change in any way that the exhibit is relevant. I indicated I would take it up because, and I'm taking what the state's saying as withdrawing the request to play the
What
lyrics.
is his name?
That is correct.
Dr. Marvin
All right.
Love or something like that?
I
What
have
was
not
it?
heard them, but I'll
Vincent?
certainly take the state
Missing here?
at its word as an officer of the court that it would be prejudicial based upon the lyrics that are in that video, but my decision to admit the video without audio stands.
Thank you, Your Honor. And yes, I don't care who you are. If it were me, I would be laughing over the use of the word exhibity. Quite honestly, I have laughed at far less. So, all right, let's see. What else should we? Let's see. I don't know if I want to, oh, this was a good one too. Hang on a second. Wait, I don't know if I want to play this one. No, I do. I do want to play it. Hold on. Let me. I always forget that you have to come back. And hey, Melissa Jade, good to see you. Look at all the support I'm getting tonight. I appreciate that, you guys. I really do. Thank you. All right. Let me play this one. Okay, calm down, YouTube. Let me add you to the stream. Don't be so quick. Slow your roll. All right, here we go.
That letter.
So
The
what
state
about,
has the ability to question you about that, or question this witness, and to look at the veracity of what your claims are here.
Oh, hey,
So-
Punksy, good to see you.
When I may take an early lunch. If that's in your cell, then you can go get it and bring it. But without that letter, I'm not allowing this line of questioning. Do you have the letter with
So-
you in court?
I just said no. How many
Okay.
times I gotta say the same thing on record?
You know, sometimes, sir, I don't hear what you say because you interrupt me so much or you answer quietly. And I'm taking notes and I'm focused on probably a dozen things at the same time.
But if I say something under my breath, everybody seems to hear it. Everybody seems to hear
In a
that just
quiet
fine.
courtroom,
And
yes,
everybody
we can
assumes,
hear it very
and
clearly.
everybody assumes that it has to be disparaging. Or,
Once again, you're doing this tactic.
because
You tried it to
it's not a
go
tactic,
off
it's
of what we're
facts.
talking
It's
about
facts.
to some other reason.
It's facts. Because
some
I
other
find
thing.
it hard to believe that
I'm gonna
all
let
of
the
a sudden
state.
nobody hears what I say.
I'm gonna let the state
man,
make a
stop.
record of why they
Stop.
believe it's objectionable, because I haven't let them do that. I've given you multiple opportunities to tell me why you
So
believe
I
it's.
didn't get these pictures from nobody else. Why was
The
somebody
record will
else
reflect you have 2 pictures that you believe were from this witness.
that I know is from?
No, that you believe.
That I know.
You
All
don't
right,
know.
I'll ask the state their position on all of this.
My position, Your Honor, is that these pictures, first of all, should not be admissible. 1, because of a discovery violation. We've never seen them before. 2, because we have reason to believe that he did not get them from Erica Patterson. He is on a jail phone call talking to his mother, Dawn Woods, about Dawn Woods sending these photographs to him. No.
That's a lie. I object to
Let the
that.
state make their argument without interruption, sir.
That's a lie, though.
Okay, we heard
3,
you.
I believe that these photographs are designed to make a suggestion to the jury that Erica Patterson is a bad mom. I think that that's what the defendant is trying to do. And if we're going to go down that road, then we would be forced to counter that claim. First of all, it doesn't make her an incredible witness, if it's even true. And second of all, if we go down that road, we would be forced to counter that claim by pointing out that not only does the defendant not live with the child in question, he doesn't live with any of the other children that he has. He impregnated Erica Patterson when she was a minor in Nevada. And for doing so, he was convicted of statutory sexual seduction, pled guilty in March of 2007 to that felony offense, and is a sex offender on the registry as well.
Yikes
So if there's any causation that would lead to Erica Patterson being a bad mom, Mr. Brooks has a direct role in that causation.
And that's
Furthermore,
I object to that.
I'm not
because that's a lie.
Let him
Because at the end of the day,
Let him
if
finish.
we're gonna open the door
Mr.
on that, no,
Brooks.
since he want to make a record and not be accurate, so let's be accurate all on the record. Since you think you know so much,
Once
so
again,
we can
Mr.
open the
Brooks
door
is
on.
being
We can open the door on how old she told me she was. when we met.
interrupting.
We can ask that question
He is
too then.
over the
Well, you
top
should
Ask that.
animated
Do you
right
know
now.
that?
Mr.
Oh,
Brooks,
boy.
I'm ordering you
Oh,
to sit
boy.
down and to let the state
No,
finish.
no, I'm not going to sit here and let somebody be inaccurate on the record and lie on the record.
Right. Under
That's all
Illinois
right. Let me explain something. Let me explain how this works, Mr. Brooks. Anybody can tell you they're a specific age. All right. It's up to you, because you know you're an adult, to do your due diligence and make sure that you're dealing with another adult, sir. So I don't give a rat's fat kneecap how many times you stand up and interrupt and demand that the record be accurate. You got charged. You pled guilty. That's accurate.
versus Allen, I've warned him repeatedly. He's being removed from the courtroom.
Oh boy.
And you know what? Let me dial that back. We're just going to take an early lunch, 1 hour. We'll be back. And unless he brings that letter and he can show it is inadmissible, she will not be questioned. And under 90611, I will declare the cross-examination closed. Thank you. We're in recess 1 hour.
Get your facts straight. So let's
Convicted
open
of
the
it?
door on all of it then, so we can get all of it on the record.
Oh, sure.
Since you think you know so much.
All righty.
Did
He
you know
is-
she said she was 18 when I met her? Did you know that?
Did you check her ID when you met her? No? Okay. All right. This is the next one, y'all. Ready?
If the bailiff could confirm, well, he put him on top, he put him on the floor. That's his right. They're not in front of him, but it's by his own conduct that he's done that. The record should reflect Mr. Brooks is muted because he wants to continue to debate with this court about my prior rulings regarding his forfeiture by conduct of his right to present further evidence on his behalf.
Oh, he's all the way out of control. Wait till y'all see this box fort he builds.
I know one of the things I probably need to look at, I'm not sure if Madam Clerk did this or not, would be the language from the amendment from the amended information on
Also,
count.
Let me point something else out. So, Mr. Brooks was removed from the actual courtroom where this is all taking place, and he's been placed in a separate courtroom. Okay, and while he is building the box fort, he's going dead off, right? Screaming and yelling and whatnot. And the thing of it is that they're like on a Zoom. So she's got him muted and she can still hear him in the other room. All right, here we go. Let's watch this amazing box fort building. All right, here we go.
70. No, I don't want to do that.
Ooh, I just thought of something. I
70.
wonder if after
Six.
this is all
The 76
said
count.
and
Wanna make-
done, we don't.
It says
we don't
near Frame Park, so it is in
hang
there.
on
But
a
that was
sec.
just
We're
one
just going to
question I
turn
had.
this down because this doesn't really have anything to do with the box fort. But I wonder if when all of this is said and done, if Darrell will be in the same place as Chazzle Dazzle, and if they are going to have a fort build off, because you know Chazzle Dazzle loves a fort. Oh, look at him. Mm-mm-mm. It's I can't believe the mockery that he is making of the legal system. Hey, Sky Flash. What if, can you imagine? What if they have a fort off? Hey, True Crime Insight. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Well, apparently Wisconsin has the best fort builders too.
Mr. Brooks is requesting to go back to his cell. At this point, I'm going to deny that request. He can remain in the other courtroom.
Uh-oh. Now, I'd like to point out that he is seated, and it is only two. He only required 2 boxes for the fort. There's 3 together, but only 2 to block his face. Oh my God! Yes, Tony. Yes. Hey, Utter Nutter. Good to see ya. Hold on, let me speed this up because I don't remember all of this, and I watched it live. Oh, he's in there just a screaming and a hollering. Look at him, having an entire temper tantrum.
I know he's muted, but I can certainly hear him from this side. He appears to be yelling at the top of his lungs. I can't decipher what he's yelling.
All right, hold on. Let's see. There's
I'm going to
another
directly
one
speak
that I
with
wanted
him.
to show you. Hold on.
If the bailiff could confirm, well, he put him on top, he put him on the floor. That's his right. They're not in front of him, but it's by his own conduct that he's done that. The record should reflect Mr. Brooks is muted because he wants to continue to debate with them.
All right, hold on a second. Let's play this one.
Sure. Before I address all of those, are there any of those final type of issues, sir, that you would want the court to address? You have been unmuted, so you can answer that. Mr. Brooks, do you have any of those final type of questions or issues that you want the court to address?
Let me speed him up.
You are muted.
Sorry.
I am.
I just told you, since nothing I say even matters at this point, I'm just gonna tell the jury what they need to know. I'm just gonna tell them the truth.
Okay.
Mr.
All
Brooks,
right.
you are aware that your closing arguments have to be based on law and fact, correct?
They're gonna be based on whatever I'll base them on.
Well, I trust the state will object when appropriate,
Well,
if
It's gonna be
appropriate.
a whole lot of objection then because I'm gonna tell the truth. You haven't allowed, you just been making all the decisions for me.
That's a
Even though you know, I told you repeatedly that I don't understand, and you still make decisions based on my behalf without my consent.
Let me stop you right there. No, she's making decisions based on the law, but okay, I'm sure whatever you're going to tell me in the next minute is going to totally change my mind. So let me be quiet and hear you.
I'm telling you, I don't understand, and you still make a decision determining my life.
Are you telling me, sir, that you will refuse to follow the simple rules of decorum, courtesy, civility, the rules of evidence, and
don't try to come
the
with
rules
your
of
slick
procedure?
words. Don't try to come with your slick words and don't put words in my mouth.
Sir, I am not being slick. I'm trying to
No,
preserve the integrity.
you've been slick. You've
All right.
been slick.
All right. I'm going to mute you, sir, since what you are saying is not productive. It is not courteous. It is disrespectful.
I don't care.
I need to go over these. All
All
right, I'm muting him because
right.
I need to go over these important issues that have been raised by the state. So as far as the
All right, let's see. All right, here we go.
All right, Mr. Brooks, do you have any position on that? I am unmuting you. I would note he takes the headphones on and off throughout. He doesn't have them on. He's looking at a book.
I wish you would stop saying, look, I'm looking at the Bible. Thank you. It's not just a book, it's the book.
Can't disagree with you there, sir.
Yeah. How many people actually live by it though? Anyway.
Sir, I'm contemplating putting an hour time limit on closing arguments.
I ain't doing no closing argument tomorrow.
The closing arguments will most likely be tomorrow.
I'm not doing it tomorrow.
Oh, when will you be
Then
doing
you'll
it?
forfeit your right to give one, sir, because as we have.
You can't force me. You can't force me not. What type of court is this where you can say you're gonna force somebody not to be able to give a closing argument? How's that lawful law?
If you choose not to give one,
how's that lawful law?
sir,
What?
if you choose not to give one you're not letting me finish and you're mocking me right now, which is
All right. How is she forcing him not to give a closing argument? Am I crazy here? Didn't she just ask him if he was going to give a closing argument, and he said repeatedly he wasn't giving a closing argument tomorrow? Does he have a conflict in his schedule that doesn't allow him to be present in court tomorrow? Lord Jesus.
incredibly disrespectful once again.
Okay,
You didn't even let me get my sentence out.
You always want to make an incorrect record. Go ahead, change your incorrect record. Go ahead.
I'll mute him once again because clearly he just wants to be disruptive this afternoon. But as we have been talking about over the course of the last
he's crabby and
10,
needs a
15
nap.
minutes, talking about the timing of everything tomorrow, even though I have 107 pages of jury instructions, the first 73, I think, deal with what is read prior to closing arguments. That means the parties should be prepared to give their closing arguments tomorrow afternoon. I will do my very best with just one mid-morning break to get through all of these, the first part of the instructions. Then the state will give its closing argument. I'm giving the parties 1 hour each. I think that's reasonable under the circumstances. Whatever the state doesn't use in its initial time of closing arguments, it can reserve for rebuttal. But then following the state, we may need to take a break of some sorts, probably before the defendant goes, just for the jury's sake and the party's sake. We will need a comfort break. But you should be prepared to go tomorrow afternoon. Then the state, if they have any rebuttal, will get up within that time limit. I will myself, and I'll have my clerk make sure we accurately.
All right. Well, that's the schedule
Mr.
for
Brooks, do you have any
tomorrow.
position on that?
Okie dokie. Let's see. And this is the final one, and then we'll get to Pike County. But before there's one other thing I want to show you guys.
We can get this done tomorrow. And so that's my expectation. So, Mr. Brooks, I'll unmute you, but that is the expectation of the court, that closing arguments will be done tomorrow.
You can't rush me to judgment, or you can't practice law from the bench and tell me when I can do something and when I can't.
Mr. Brooks, I actually can under all of the rules.
Oh my God, Mr. Brooks. Have you never watched a trial on TV, sir? This is standard operating procedure. This isn't some kind of something foisted on you because the judge is slick with her slick words and the proper grasp of the English language, for fuck's sake. I mean, geez Louise, you want to represent yourself.
Rules of procedure. It is my
Okay.
job to make sure there's effective and efficient administration of this trial.
So,
You are-
then I should be allowed to, then if that's the case, then I should be allowed to tell the jury what they need to know, which is the truth, that they have the power. They have the power to nullify laws they don't agree
You
with.
are absolutely not allowed to tell the jury that. There's a
He-Man
jury
has the
instruction
power.
that I will
Everybody
have
knows
ready
that.
to go if you even attempt to raise the issue of jury nullification, sir. You have
So
absolutely
he
no
has-
right to raise that. That is
Hold on,
clear under the law.
I can raise
He has
without
the
put a
power
raise.
by the power of
And you
Grayskull.
can't, so you added these jury instructions at the last minute, then you should have never approved them from the get-go because I never approved them.
Bruh.
I told you I didn't understand them at all whatsoever.
No, you didn't. You used your entire time today for her to ask you 11 billion and 1100 times if you had anything that you wanted added to the jury instruction. And what did you do? You tried to argue some ridiculous, pedantic bullshit about double jeopardy, which you don't even understand what double jeopardy is clearly, or you wouldn't have made that argument. Man, if it were me, this is how I would be ruling from the bench. Obviously, this is why I'm not a judge. Well, yeah, he can be ejected. He can absolutely be ejected from the courtroom, which is why he's participating in an adjacent. Hey, Seth, he's participating in an adjacent courtroom because he can't act right. That's why. That's the problem. Here he goes.
And you still passed it.
Sir, if you
Okay.
understand jury nullification, you understand jury instructions. It's clear to me
Man, I
you've
don't
done your
care what
homework.
you're talking about. I don't care what you're talking about.
Okay.
I'm gonna let them know that they can nullify any law they don't agree with.
All
It's my
right.
It is not your
Now
right
say
to do
it's
that.
not. Say that it's not.
It is
It's
not
not.
your right to raise
Show
jury
me.
nullification.
Show me lawful law then.
Okay.
Show me.
All right. I'm
That's not a term. Lawful law isn't a thing. It's just the law. Do you mean case law? Lawful law. Here we go.
going to mute him once again. He's
Yeah,
starting to
please
raise his
unmute
voice.
him.
He's starting to hit his hands on the table. It's very clear to this court that it's going to be a challenge tomorrow during his closing arguments. He does not have an unfettered right to say whatever he wants
Ooh,
or
maybe
how
he
he
is
wants.
listening to I Got the Power
If
by
he
Snap.
is going to be adamant about defying the court's rules, which I will tell him in part what they are today, and I will work on that as we break and have a very clear advisement for him tomorrow morning. He may run the risk of being put in the other courtroom because he'll forfeit by his conduct his right to be present here. And
We
I will
can't
be
hear
able
you,
then to
Mr.
exercise the
Brooks.
mute function. I have to balance, frankly, the fact that he's in custody, that it takes time for this jury to be excused. They have to walk an entire hallway behind me. I frankly don't want him to look worse than what he's looked, frankly, in front of this court when they haven't been in this courtroom. I need to preserve how he looks to this jury. And I will need a very clear
No, he doesn't, Joan, and that's my problem
pledge by
with
him that he will follow
He's out of
the
control.
rulings that I make as it relates to the closing arguments. He cannot raise jury nullification. He cannot raise facts that are not part of the record. He cannot raise subject matter jurisdiction. He needs to argue the facts based upon his theory, based upon the evidence that's been presented.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the bounds. If he's
Amen.
going to, I can only imagine there may be some objections by the state. If there is an objection, I expect that he will stop and wait
we
for
will have
this
the
court to rule on the
We will have
objection.
the subtitles.
I expect that
don't
if I
think he's muted, so
sustain
I
an
don't think
objection, that he will honor it.
we can hear
And if
him.
he can't pledge to
What was
follow
on?
these
What happened?
very simple rules of courtesy and decorum that are consistent with the rules of procedure and the rules of evidence, then he will be in that other courtroom for his closing argument, so that I can exercise mute, frankly, to protect how he looks to that jury. Because that is the balancing that I am tasked with tomorrow, is to
Bless her
ensure
heart. She's done
that this
had
jury
enough.
makes a determination based upon the evidence and the law.
You right.
Pages. We can get this done tomorrow. And so that's my expectation. So
Hold on. There was another one that he. Oh, here we go. I don't think I played this one. This is the one I wanted you guys to watch.
do you have any requests
First of all,
This how it
First
started.
of all,
related to the
Hold
jury
on.
instructions, sir?
man, yeah, I got requests. It ain't like they gonna be honored though. 'Cause
As it
nothing
relates
I've
to
been
the
trying
jury
to get done
instructions,
is-
sir, what are your?
I heard what the hell you said, man.
Oh,
Well, Mr. Brooks, that was very disrespectful.
Yeah, and I've been getting disrespected since the beginning of this whole process. So welcome to the club.
Mr. Brooks, do you have any
I'm
requests?
tired of my rights being trampled on here too.
okay. Hold on just a second, sir. What club are you referencing? Because the only club that you're part of is the being disrespectful club. The rest of us are in the we just got disrespected club. Okay, let's be clear. I heard what the hell you said. All right.
I'm tired of it too.
Do you have
Yeah,
any
we're all
requests
tired
as
of
it relates to the jury instructions?
Hmm?
Ain't nobody understand why I'm frustrated. How you gonna sit up here and make decisions based on what you think I said when I didn't give consent for you to do any such thing?
Huh?
Sir, I understand you may be upset, and I really do,
No, you
but
don't
I've made my
understand nothing.
determinations.
You don't understand nothing. You
Oh.
don't understand anything, Your Honor. You
Uh-oh.
don't. Because
I'm going to mute him again because he's not answering the questions that I'm very clearly asking him, and I've given him 5 opportunities.
Girl, at
Mr.
this
Brooks,
point you were like on 6
Do you
or
have
7.
any requests as it relates to the jury instructions? I'll unmute you for that answer.
I can't hear everything you're saying.
Mr. Brooks, I know the
Yes,
audio is
support
turned
with
up.
Steffa, it's gonna be.
I believe you can hear me.
Yeah.
You've chosen not to put the headphones on. That's your choice. My final question to you, do you have any requests as it relates to the jury instructions?
I just told you, am I muted? Am I muted?
No.
It does not say get my
I
beauty.
just told you.
Closed
I don't know how many
captioning.
times I can't hear everything you saying.
Then you should put the
What about
headphones
that
on.
Don't you understand? What about that? Don't you understand? If you see headphones, you can see everything. You can see boxes, but then you see headphones.
Have you asked for headphones to be provided, sir?
I shouldn't have to ask for them. I didn't ask for my boxes to be moved.
I believe they took them away previously because you were so agitated. They were perhaps afraid you might break
Yeah,
them.
I'm still agitated. I ain't gonna stop being agitated. That ain't gonna stop. You sit up here and do everything you're doing and think God don't see what you're doing. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Mr. Brooks, do you have any requests as it relates to the jury
Yeah,
instructions?
I can hear what you're saying. I can hear what you're saying.
You just told me you didn't. So which one is
Yeah,
it?
I got the headphones on. You can't see that?
What are your requests as it relates? What are your requests as it relates to the jury instructions, sir?
Man, don't try to come with this whole little image of sir. Now it's all this sir and all this. I'm gonna get where I'm going.
Where you going?
Try to put on this little act like you so worried about what's going on with me. You don't give a damn. Never did.
Mr. Brooks, you're being disrespectful again.
You've been being disrespectful. You've been being disrespectful.
Closed captioning is terrible.
I need to know what your position is regarding the jury instructions. And I need to know it now.
What you mean? Who you talking to?
You.
I'm talking to you. I need to know whether you have any requests as it relates to the jury instructions, sir.
Yeah, first of all, First of all, why am I charged with 2 bail jumpings when I was already charged in Milwaukee for the same bail jumping? That's double jeopardy.
That's not double jeopardy. Your objection is noted. It's overruled.
It is double jeopardy. How you gonna charge me with the same charge that I'm already charged with? You can't do that. The Fifth Amendment says that you can't.
Let's hit up the
place
dictionary.
somebody
Shall we? Let's see what
in
double
jeopardy of
jeopardy
life and limb
is.
twice.
Let's Google
I'm
out.
already charged
I
with
want
the
that. I know
same
what it is,
count
but I want to make sure
in
that
Milwaukee. For the same case. It's the same bail jumping charge. So how am I charged with that here?
bruh.
Sir, I'm not going to provide a legal explanation other than to say I've reviewed that. Your objection is noted, but the jury will be instructed regarding the bail jumping.
It can't be because that's double jeopardy. Under the law, if two charges are identical in nature, you cannot place me in jeopardy of life and limb twice. You can't do that.
What's your next?
The same case number.
What's your next request, sir? I'm noting your objection.
I
I'm
don't.
trying to
He
talk.
might actually.
Can I get it out? You always want me to not interrupt you, but you always find a way to talk over me.
I understand your position. I'm saying it's overruled.
You always want respect, but don't want to give it.
Hold on. Let me see what this says.
I'm charged with the same bail jumping charge here that I've already been charged with. That is double jeopardy. You can't charge me for the same exact bail jumping that I'm already charged with, that I was charged with before this even came about.
Sir, the bail jumping charges in Waukesha County are based upon your violating your bail while in Waukesha County by driving through the Christmas parade and allegedly killing 6 people and injuring 61 others.
Oh, that's not double jeopardy then. All right. So
If the
let's hold on. So tomorrow's hold on a second. I'm about to cough and I don't want to cough in y'all's ear. Cripes. Okay, so now I'm done choking. Hey, Christine G, that's me. How you doing? So here's the deal. Tomorrow we are going to be covering the closing statements because quite honestly, exactly. Thank you. Objection overruled. At first I was reading the language of it and then I read a little further and I was like, no, because exactly right. There are different dates and different charges, so it's not double jeopardy. Oh, Molson, Christine did good. She knew like 4 different movies or something like that. She did excellent. I was very proud of her. Okay. So we're tomorrow morning I will stream. Now I'll just stream all of it because you never know what's going to happen. That's the beauty of a live feed. So we'll just watch tomorrow and see how it goes. If it goes too late in like towards the afternoon, I don't know. I might stay live the whole time. Sometimes it's hard for me though to be live like for like more than like 2 or 3 hours. I feel like you guys get bored. I get bored with myself. So there you go. The other thing I wanted to show you guys, and because this is a bit of good news, and I wanted to show you guys this before we all right. I wanted to show you guys this before we get into the Pike County thing. This isn't a case that I followed as closely as Alex Erickson has, or Leave It to Bieber, who both have done excellent coverage. As you guys know, it's very difficult for your girl here to hold on, let me see if they cover the press conference. No, that's not what I wanted. Give me a second. It's difficult for me to cover children's cases because I just it's just hard. It just is. So the girls have been doing Leave It to Bieber and Alex Erickson have been doing fantastic job covering the Harmony Montgomery case, but I just wanted to play something for you guys. Please stop trying to get me to sign up for stuff. I don't appreciate these high pressure sales tactics. I know how to work the internet. If I want to sign up, I know how to do it. Thank you so much. Lordy B. All right, so we're going to watch this press conference about the Harmony Montgomery case because we did get a bit of good news. It's sad news, but this was good news. There's no way to make this bigger. Okay, here we go. Oh, yeah, there is. Bruh.
This is what you've been waiting for. Brand new cottage homes with the independence, community, and peace of mind that Riverwoods Manchester is known for. Don't miss.
Yeah, I don't believe I'll be visiting that place.
Emotions high as the chief alleges her body was moved and or hidden.
I didn't mean to skip. What the hell?
Every single one of you has been the voice of harmony and seeking justice for her.
Emotions high as the
wanna
chief
hear
publicly
your-
thanks his officers and detectives listed
on.
here, as well as the work of
This is not what I wanted. Hold on. All right, here we go. Sorry, you guys. I'll find it. Don't you worry. Give me a second. Oh my gosh. Ads, ads, ads. Bruh. I'm just going to go to YouTube. I don't know why I try to search any other place. Hold on a minute. Sorry, y'all. Please bear with me. Usually I'm more tech savvy than this. All right, this is what I wanted. Lord Jesus. All right, y'all ready? Okay, here we go. Oh, maybe it would help if I added it to the
and
stream.
other related charges.
Lord.
Earlier this morning,
There we go.
Adam Montgomery was arrested for the murder of Harmony Montgomery in 2019 and other related charges. Specifically, Mr. Montgomery has been charged with the following 4 crimes. Second-degree murder for recklessly causing the death of Harmony Montgomery, a person under 13 years of age, under circumstances manifesting an extreme indifference to the value of human life, by repeatedly striking Harmony in the head with a closed fist, in Manchester on or about December 7th, 2019. Falsifying physical evidence for purposely altering, destroying, concealing, or removing the body of Harmony Montgomery with a purpose to impair its verity or availability in an official proceeding or investigation in Manchester between approximately December 7th, 2019 and March 4th, 2020. Abuse of corpse for purposefully and unlawfully removing, concealing, or destroying the corpse of Harmony Montgomery or any
Where's
part thereof
Allie?
in
Because
Manchester
this is the
between
part I
approximately
wanted her to hear. This is why there's like dates. This is why it's why they gave a range of dates. Remember what we talked about earlier, Allie? This is why. Now that I've gone back and heard it again, this is why. No subtitles.
December 7th, 2019 and March 4th, 2020. And tampering with witnesses or informants for purposely attempting to induce or otherwise cause Kayla Montgomery to testify or inform falsely in Manchester between approximately December 7th, 2019 and January 4th, 2022. Mr. Montgomery is expected to be arraigned on these charges in Hillsborough County Superior Court, Northern District
Okay, thanks,
in
Molson.
Manchester tomorrow, October 25th, 2022. While today's arrest is a major step in this investigation, there is much work to come. The charges and allegations against Adam Montgomery are merely accusations, and he is presumed innocent until proven guilty.
Okay. Now, so I played that to say this. I know that a lot of us are watching what's happening right now in the Quentin Simon case. And I know that we're all super frustrated, right? We all want there to be an arrest. We all want Quentin to be found and laid to rest. We all want the person or persons responsible to be brought to justice. Okay. And I understand all of that. And I feel all of that with you guys. I agree. It's very, very frustrating. But I wanted to remind everybody that we need to be patient. It will happen. There are It's unfortunate that in Harmony's case, bless her little sweetheart, that she had to wait so long to start to see justice, but it does happen. And, that's what I wanted to just remind everybody, that we have to be patient, that in the end, justice does end up prevailing. And sometimes it just takes time. And I know that's hard. And I know it's incredibly frustrating, but we don't want a situation where a rush to judgment means justice denied. We do not want that. We want the person or persons responsible. And to be honest with you, I don't know. I know what law enforcement has said, and they have said that it's just one suspect, right? Um, that could possibly change, and that's why I'm putting it out there. Not that I suspect anybody else, because I wasn't there. I don't know. And to be quite honest with you, there's only a few details that have come out at this point that can be verified. And you guys know how I feel about that. Like there's it's one thing to do a little bit of speculation, but I'm not, if I have to like stretch before I can do a reach, then it's too much. You know what I mean? So anyway, we don't have a whole lot of information coming out that's come out yet. That's verifiable, that we can, that we know is fact. So what I'm saying is we want the person or persons responsible for what happened, and we don't even know what happened yet exactly with Quentin. We want them held responsible, and that takes time, and we need to be patient, you know. So that's all I wanted to say about that. And I did see support with stuff. I wanted to show you. I know I saw this, and I wanted to answer you because it's a good question. I personally do not think that the no cameras will be the final decision in the Daybell Vallow trial. This is what I think happened and is going to happen. Okay. I think that the judge, using an abundance of caution, really, because I listened to him and I listened to his argument or his ruling and why he made the ruling that he made. Um, but what he the central theme of his ruling was really based around the pretrial motions being televised and the potential for it further tainting the jury pool. See, they've already had to move the trial, etc., and they're very worried about being able to get a a jury that can do their job, right? To base um, their verdicts solely on what is heard in the courtroom, nothing that they heard prior. You know, they don't want them to come in with a prejudice, right? So that's very, very important. And the truth of the, hey, Kez Chick, the truth of the matter is what I'm seeing a lot from these judges lately, and I'm actually really impressed with it, is that they're using an abundance of caution because they don't want any of the things that they rule on to be overturned in the appeal process. No judge likes to have their rulings overturned. So they're really using an abundance of caution here. And I think it is super, super important that although I am interested, you guys are interested, right? It's a we don't have to actually be virtually in the courtroom when these pretrial hearings are taking place in the Vallow Daybell case. Getting audio or even just audio and some um, summary of what took place is enough for the time being. And I would much rather have that than have a situation where Lori and Chad cannot get a fair and impartial jury. And have a good night to you too, Seth, where they can't get a fair and impartial jury, and therefore there's a mistrial declared, or it comes out like with the Scott Peterson case. It comes out later on that you know, a juror has got qualified that shouldn't have been qualified. You know what I'm saying? We just do not need any of that at all in this case. And I'd also like to say that I got to get with Allie, and I don't know when we'll do it because she went 9 nights. But at some point, she and I are going to talk about this latest hearing that took place. But I will say this: I do not think for 1 second that Chad Daybell is throwing Lori Vallow under the bus or distancing himself. I think it is all an act. I think that this is something that both Chad and Lori discussed. They knew that it was likely that they were going to get caught. It was likely that they may get convicted and what to do in that case. And that's why I personally believe Lori is pretending to be, you know, incompetent to stand trial, why her lawyers are making such a kerfuffle about her being interviewed and what's the word I'm looking for? You know what I'm trying to say, you guys. I'm tired. It's the end of the day and I can't think. But um that's what her mental health, they want her evaluated, yada, 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 and they need extra time, blah, 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 blah. Whatevs, right? So that what Lori and Chad's plan, in my opinion, has been since day one. I'm not talking about like day one of all the crimes that they committed allegedly, right? Or they're accused of. I'm talking about day one since they realized they were going to be tried together. Their first and foremost plan was to have their trials severed. And if they can't have their trials severed by going the regular legal routes, the easiest way to do it is for Lori to drag her feet and be declared or have some type of issue with competency, right? And that then um, impeding on Chad's right to a fair and speedy trial, right? So there you go. That's what they're doing. It's all a game. They think that and exactly, this is their other part of their defense. They want to pin it on Alex, and I think that they both think that they'll have the best chance of doing that, having their trials severed. It won't work, but whatever. I'm just so done with them and their shenanigans. I know that's what it is, and I'm super annoyed. Hey, Jennifer, how are you? Good to see you, babe. So, yeah. Now, for what happened today. Okay. So give me just one real quick second. Okay. Just bear with me 1 second. Yes, exactly right. This is all a game to her. And, it's an, it's, I'm, s- it's a game to her, and she's wasting the court's time. She's wasting the taxpayer's dime, and I'm over it. Completely freaking over it. I'm tired of her. Just there you go, Sky Flash. Plead not intentional. There you go. So, now on to Pike County. Oh, also, Ethan Crumbly, the school, yeah. Um, I don't know if you to let me say it, but you know who I'm talking about, pled guilty today. And sentencing, I can't, oh crap, I think it's next month for sentencing. Um, so that happened today. I'm trying to think if there was any other trial stuff that I wanted to talk about before we get into um, the Pike County. Oh, yeah, she knows she has the upper hand right here. But here's the deal. Lori is extremely, and I think we can all agree on this, manipulative. And she is, this is her bag. She loves having control. And it's just, oh, I'm sure she's not only running a jailhouse beauty salon, she's probably running a freaking gambling ring. They're probably betting, on cockroach races. Um, you know, she's probably doing all the things in there. So, what about Ethan Crumble, Vincent's missing ear? I don't know what you're asking me. Was Ethan Crumble? I don't, so, oh boy. Listen, well, I said, I hope she's not cutting anybody's hairs like she cut Melanie's. That was a terrible haircut. Lori, you really need to further your education. You need to go on to continuing education and while you're there in the clink, because Melanie's haircut was uneven, and you gave her you should have added layers to give her body, and it was just it was not good work, and it was frankly an asymmetrical haircut. It was not a good job, ma'am. You should really, if I were paying you a pack of cigarettes, and not just like, not street level cigarettes where, they're like $6-7 a pack. We're talking about prison prices for cigarettes. And if I'm paying you 2 packs of cigarettes to cut my hair, I better be walking out of there looking like Miss America, ma'am. Okay. So, all right, now on to Jake today. First and foremost, let me say how annoyed and disgusted I am at cripes at the fact that Jake opted out. Now, I really thought that there might be a good chance that after Beth's testimony, his ex-wife's testimony, and specifically the accusation that she made respective to their wedding night, I really, really thought that he would at the last minute change his mind and decide to testify. If nothing else, audio. Maybe not camera, but audio. Okay. I really did. I thought he would be like, no, listen, I granted, I pled guilty to 8 counts of first-degree murder plus burglary and a host of other charges, but I draw the line at you saying that I forced myself on my ex-wife on our wedding night. Like, I really thought that his, I don't know, pride would get the better of him and he would get up there and testify. But instead, he proved what a big baby and coward he actually is and opted out. So, the best we have are some news clips, and I'll play those for you. And hold on a second. There's another, I saw one earlier. Give me just a second. I guess it might be in one of these clips. All right. Where they showed Jake. Obviously, they didn't show him when he was in the courtroom or entering the courtroom, but they did show him outside getting out of the transport. So let's see what this one says. YouTube is always so eager to play things before you've actually hit the play button. Calm down, YouTube. All right, here we go.
Brother versus brother today in the Pike County massacre trial. It's a day everyone's been waiting to hear. Jake Wagner took the stand against George Wagner IV. WCPO 9 anchor Brett Bugansky is live here in studio with me. Brett, Jake opted out of being recorded, so we can't show his video or listen to him. But we are hearing a little bit of what he said on the witness stand today.
Yeah, we certainly are. We have our very own Courtney Francisco in the courtroom, and we found out through Jake Wagner's testimony today that he, his brother, and his father would commit crimes together, including multiple arsons to collect insurance money and stealing high-priced items from businesses, as he put it, to try and avoid hurting the working class person. George Wagner walked in with his head down, didn't make any eye contact with anyone, as the courtroom was full of family members. But then Jake walked in, and that's when he smiled and told jury that he loved his brother and would love nothing more than to see his brother go home. It was Jake who testified that George was supposed to kill Chris Rhoden Sr., but he froze. And Jake said he took George's place and killed Chris Rhoden Sr. Jake also made it clear that George was present when the murders took place. And we have been reporting about the child custody battle between the families. Jake said he was concerned his daughter Sophia wouldn't be safe living with the rodents, even going as far as saying he was concerned Sophia would be molested, since he said it happened in both his family and Hannah's family. Tanya, back to you.
All right. Hold on a second. Let me see what this other one is about. Because there's another one, but that's like more of an article that I wanted to read to you guys, because that one has even more. So I'll play this one right quick while I look for I know where it's at. I'll just read it from my phone. All right, ready? Let me rewind. Bruh, Jen, you've got to add it to the stream. Hold on.
Now, in a deal that he made to protect his family. Yeah, today's testimony is what so many people, including loved ones of 8 murder victims, have been waiting for. Now, in a deal that he made to protect his family from the death penalty, Jake Wagner did testify for hours today about the 2016 Pike County massacre and the connection he says his brother George has to the crimes.
During more than 6 hours of detailed testimony, Jake Wagner explained why he wanted to kill Hannah Roden, the mother of his child. Wagner, who opted out of letting us record what he said, explained that he was worried the fractured couple's young daughter may have been sexually assaulted. At one point, Jake said, quote, "I had decided I had no other choice than to kill Hannah." But Jake Wagner testified he was not the one who initially felt that way, saying, quote, "My father first mentioned it to me." Investigators arrested Jake and his brother George and their parents Billy and Angela Wagner 4 years ago and charged them with killing Hannah Roden and 7 of her loved ones in April 2016. We're showing you file footage of Jake Wagner from previous court appearances. The 29-year-old told jurors his brother George, who's on trial for murder, helped prepare for what's become known as the Pike County Massacre and then helped execute the plan. It appears George Wagner never pulled a trigger on the night of the murders, but Jake Wagner said under oath that was not the way things were supposed to go, at least at the first crime scene where Chris Roden Sr. and his cousin Gary Roden died. Jake testified George was in a firing position. Jake said he told him to shoot, but he didn't. So Jake said he grabbed George's gun and began a killing spree that's upended countless lives.
Now, as you can imagine, Jake Wagner's description of the way their loved ones were killed elicited emotional reactions from members of the Roden, Manley, and Gilly families, all interconnected in what was really an awful night back in 2016. At one point, I can tell you, Jake did look in the Roden family's direction and mouthed the words, "I'm sorry." He also looked at his brother, George, quite often, trying to get some kind of reaction, but George did not seem terribly receptive. That's the latest for now. Tonight, reporting live in Waverly, Todd Dykes, WLWT News 5.
Okay. Oh, Vincent's missing here. Yes, that's what it was. And yes, support with stuff. So this morning, I was all set to stream. And of course, they were panning while they were waiting because the court was delayed today a little bit. They started a little bit late. And they anyway, they were panning through the gallery of the audience, and yeah, it was packed more than it has been, honestly, in the whole trial, really. But I wanted to read this to you. Hold on. Let me read this. All right. In all-day testimony at the beginning of the 8th week of his brother George Wagner IV's murder trial, Jake Wagner said he shot Frankie Roden and his fiancée Hannah Hazel Gilly in one trailer home in Pike County that night. He then shot Dana Manley Roden, her son Christopher Roden Jr., and her daughter Hannah Mae Roden at another nearby trailer home. Jake Wagner said Jake Wagner and Hannah Roden shared a child that triggered a custody battle, which prosecutors maintain inspired the Wagners to kill the Rodens. Jake Wagner also admitted to shooting Christopher Roden Sr. at yet another Pike County location, but not killing him. He likewise acknowledged traveling to the fourth and final crime scene, but not killing Kenneth Roden in his camper there. Jake Wagner said his brother, Billy Wagner, emerged from the home of Christopher Roden Sr. very, quote, very nervous and emotional in a panic attack. Quote, I told him he had to calm down. It was too late to break down, Jake Wagner said. Shortly after that, he said he found Chris Roden Sr. and his cousin Gary Roden shot to death on a bedroom floor. He took Chris Roden's keys and both their phones and covered them with a blanket from Chris Roden's bed. At the home of Kenneth Roden, he waited in a truck while his father went in alone. Just before his father returned to the truck, quote, I saw a muzzle flash, he said. Now, 29 with a goatee and a short ponytail, Jake Wagner has been jailed since the family was arrested and indicted in connection to the Roden killings in November 2018. He changed his plea in the case to guilty last year. Let's see. George Wagner the Fourth didn't shoot, Jake Wagner says. George Wagner the Fourth was along the night of the killings, his brother said. Wagner the Fourth was planning to fire first that night at Chris Roden Sr.'s home, but failed to do so, Jake Wagner said. The brothers positioned themselves under trucks in the front of the trailer, waiting for their father to walk Roden Sr. back to the home's front porch. I told him to shoot, but he didn't, Jake Wagner said. Jake Wagner said he took his brother's SKS semi-automatic rifle from him and aimed it at Roden Sr. Quote, I panicked, pointed to his midsection and just started shooting randomly, end quote. Jake Wagner said his father and brother arrived with him at the second and third crime scenes, but that he alone shot each of the victim in the head, some multiple times. Frankie Roden and Hannah Gilley were asleep when he entered through an open window, made his way to their bedroom, and shot them, he said. At the next scene, when he entered through the front door, Wagner shot Chris Roden Jr. while he slept in bed. Dana Manley Roden was awake in a different bedroom, scrolling on her phone when he shot her. Hannah Roden awakened in a third bedroom just before he shot her. Then he returned to Dana and Hannah's Roden's rooms and shot again. As Wagner recounted the night of April 21st to 22nd, 2016, straining at times to recall specific details, the packed courtroom was mostly silent, save occasional squeaks from wooden benches in the gallery and coughs from observers. But he moved Wagner family members to tears with his account of killing Dana, Hannah, and Chris Jr. He paused briefly when Special Prosecutor Angela Canepa asked him why, after Hannah Roden slipped from her bed, he repositioned her. He said he was concerned her body might not be discovered for a while, and that he wanted the baby she had delivered just 5 days earlier to be able to breastfeed. Quote, it may not make sense, he said, but I was concerned Kylie would starve to death, end quote. Jake Wagner could not recall whether George Wagner IV entered the home of Frankie Roden and Hannah Gilley. Quote, I don't remember seeing him when I opened the door, end quote. At Dana Roden's residence, Jake Wagner said his father and brother remained in the kitchen and front rooms while he shot the victims there. George Wagner IV waited on a roadside about a mile from the fourth scene where Kenneth Roden was killed, his brother said. Dressed in beige gel clothing and wearing wrist and ankle restraints, Jake Wagner entered the Pike County Common Pleas courtroom at 9:38 Monday, escorted in through the back by deputies of the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. Answering Canepa's questions with mostly terse and brief replies, with occasional glances at the brother he said he still loved, Wagner said he decided he had, quote, no other choice but to kill Hannah, end quote, to protect their daughter. Jake Wagner said he still loved his former girlfriend, but believed she was dating men who would molest Sophia. Quote, I was not going to let that happen, end quote, he said. He said he initially wanted to kill Hannah Roden and her then boyfriend Corey Holdren and attempted to make it appear to be a unaliving and self-harming. His father convinced him they needed to unalive the entire Roden family instead. He said the Rodens would take revenge like, quote, snipers on a hill, end quote, if they suspected the Wagner's involvement, Billy Wagner told him. Jake Wagner said he met Hannah Roden at a 4-H event at the Pike County Fair in 2010 when she was 13 and he was 17. Quote, she asked me if I wanted to pet her bunny, end quote, he said. They dated with the permission of her parents and had Sophia on November 18th, 2013. The relationship ended in February 2015 over an argument about yard work. Quote, we had, I guess you'd call it a breakdown or a separation situation, end quote, Jake Wagner said. He said he began to believe their daughter was being molested when he delivered her back to Hannah Roden. Quote, Sophie would cling to me. She'd say, Daddy, please don't go. Don't make me go. End quote. His breaking point, he said, came when he confronted Roden about his fears. Quote, what if your carelessness leads to my daughter being molested? He asked her. She replied, we'll have to deal with it. Jake Wagner returns to the stand for more questions from the prosecution. He'll then face questions from the defense. So yeah, there's another one too that talks about like the other crimes that they committed, like hold on a second, you guys. Give me just a second. Sorry. Sorry about that. There was another article, and I know that I read it, so why is it not? I'm sorry, you guys. Excuse me. It must be updated. Let's see. Then there's this other article. Let's see. Jake Wagner calmly described in graphic detail how his brother helped him and their father, Billy Wagner, shoot and unalive the 8 victims. Jake Wagner said he personally shot and unalived 5 of the 8 victims: Dana, her 3 children, Hannah Mae, Chris Roden Jr., and Frankie Roden, as well as Frankie's fiance, Hannah Hazel. Gilly also shot and wounded a 6th, Christopher Roden Sr. Quote, she looked up. Y'all, this needs a trigger warning. Okay, just so you know. Quote, she looked up and made a gasping noise, and then I shot her, he told the jury as he recounted killing Dana Roden. Let's see, I already heard about the brother. Let's see, I think that's Jake Wagner looked at his brother several times throughout his testimony Monday morning and appeared to be trying to make eye contact with him. At one point, I think they did, because, of course, Law and Crime Network, they muted and they, obviously turned the camera, right? Well, when they turned the camera, had it right on George Wagner. And at one point, he did look up. And since we're seeing it from a side angle, it's kind of difficult. So I can't say for sure, but I think at one point they did make eye contact. George Wagner IV watched as Jake Wagner walked to the stand and sat down. He took copious notes throughout his brother's testimony. During the first sidebar, Jake Wagner looked at the Rodens in the courtroom and appeared to mouth to them, "I'm sorry." Several relatives watched his testimony from seats behind the prosecution and defense, including family matriarch Geneva Roden. She sat in the front row after using a walker to slowly enter the courthouse and reach the second floor. Bless her heart. Prosecutor Angela Canapa asked Jake Wagner how close he is to his mother and father. He responded that he is close to his mother and, quote, close-ish to his father. "Are you close to your brother?" Canapa asked. "Very," Jake told her. "How difficult is it for you to be here today?" she asked. "Very," Jake Wagner responded. He struggled to find the right words to say several times as he testified, telling Canapa more than a dozen times, I'm not sure what the proper word is." He admitted to stealing things along with his father and brother over the course of his life before the unaliving: fuel, lumber, appliances, tools, gates, livestock, fencing, and building materials. Let's see. Jake Wagner smiled on the witness stand when Canapa said his daughter's name out loud for the first time on Monday. "My baby was born November 13th, 2013 at 2:30 a.m., he proudly said. Canapa told Jake Wagner, quote, "Hannah said you choked her." When Jake confronted her about men Hannah had their daughter wait, that doesn't right. Read right. When Jake confronted her about men Hannah had their daughter around, Jake denied that, but said he did get after her when she was, quote, lazy. Quote, "I never choked her. Once I threw my right shoulder up against her and helped her up against the barn." I'm sure that has got to mean held. He testified he was, quote, concerned when Hannah started dating the other men, as he says she stalled on agreeing to a custody arrangement for their daughter. Quote, "I was concerned that Hannah was going to let my daughter get the M word like Hannah did," Jake testified. "My daughter told me that Hannah locked her in her bedroom and let her scream for hours. When it was time to give Sophia to Hannah Roden, he said, quote, Sophie would scratch and claw my leg and say, 'Daddy, don't let me go.'" Jake said when he asked Hannah Roden about this, she told him nothing was going on. She told him, quote, "Sophia is just being a brat." Jake Wagner testified that we've already read that part. Jake Wagner saw Hannah's Facebook message to Tabitha's mother that he would only get custody of their daughter, quote, "over my dead body." Quote, this is so weird. "If want custody, Sophie, it will be over my dead body," or something similar, he testified. Prosecutors have shown the Facebook messages. She wrote, "I won't sign papers ever. It won't happen. They will have to unalive me first." Let's see. I wonder which character he was trying to. I guess it could be either of the McManus brothers, although the older McManus, well, they're twins, but Norman Reedus had dark hair, but not Sean, what's his name? Flannery didn't have dark hair. His hair was blonde. So that's ridiculous. He said he waited to put on the gray Walmart gym shoes he'd instructed his mother to buy for them to wear at the victims' trailers. Quote, "I didn't put the tennis shoes on until I got to the truck because I was afraid they would track soil from my property to Chris Roden's and the other properties, Jake Wagner said on the stand. He modified, with his brother's help, the pickup truck he purchased that his dad drove to the Roden's trailers. He said he built a false bed on the truck and George Wagner the fourth hid underneath it. He said his mother knew where they were going and what they planned to do. His dad insisted they do it on a cloudy night to prevent satellites from picking up any images through the clouds. Lord Jesus. They also waited for Hannah Mae's Roden's baby to be born before they carried out their deadly attack. Her baby was just 5 days old. Jake Wagner said once he arrived on the Wagner family property, he walked around with his brother and father from Chris Roden Sr.'s trailer to Frankie Roden's trailer. Bless it. Once the Wagner men reached Frankie Roden's trailer, the three Wagner men checked the doors to see if they were locked. They were. Just Jake testified, saying, quote, "It could have been a kick the door in type of situation," end quote. They walked back to Chris Roden Sr.'s trailer, where Jake Wagner collected his cell phone and his cousin's, Gary Roden's. All three Wagner men got into Chris Roden Sr.'s pickup and drove by Dana Roden's trailer. They saw no lights and knew she was not home, so they drove about 6.5 miles to Kenneth Roden's trailer on Left Fork Road and then came right back to Chris Roden Sr.'s trailer. Oh, wow. They got out and walked to Frankie's trailer where the doors were still locked. So Jake Wagner said he tried to pry the back door open with his hunting knife, but it broke off. He hoisted himself up and went through a window. He said his dad handed over his gun once he was inside. He calmly described to the jury how he walked through the trailer past Frankie Roden's toddler son, who was sleeping on the sofa, and went into the bedroom where Frankie Roden was asleep in bed next to his fiancee, Hannah Hazel Gilley. Jake Wagner said he shot Frankie Roden in the head, which caused Gilley to stir and make a waking up sound, so he leaned over and shot her as well. That's when he noticed their baby was in bed with them. Jake Wagner spared the infant's life and left the trailer. He said he didn't try to collect spent shell casing in the trailer because, quote, "to be frank, it was a mess," end quote. Jeez. He said he left the trailer through the back door, locking it again once he left. Wow. Let's see. Dana Roden had just returned home after working a double shift as a nurse's aide, according to previous testimony. Jake Wagner said she was awake when he looked into her room. Quote, "She looked up and made a gasping noise, and then I shot her," he said, adding that he saw, quote, "a red hole in her neck when she fell back." He turned toward Hannah Mae Roden's room, remaining where he stood in the hall. He believes she also saw him and was breastfeeding when he shot her because she was propped up. He shot Dana Roden again, this time in the head, telling the jury, quote, "I wasn't sure that I actually killed her." And he fired again, shooting her daughter and the mother of his child again in the head. Bless it. Jake Wagner said he went into Chris Roden Jr.'s bedroom and shot him in the head as he slept. Quote, "It was all point blank." Jeez. So apparently, after Jake Wagner testifies, jurors are expected to hear about evidence from the 2018 wiretaps of the Wagners. They will also hear how investigators literally pieced evidence of the crime back together to link the massacre to them. Angela Wagner is expected to testify against her son later this week or early next. So, wow. No, I don't think so, babe. And the reason why I say that is because they arrested and charged Billy, Jake, George, Angela, Frederica, and Rita. Now, Rita and Frederica didn't get the same charges as the rest of the Wagners, but remember, they had the wiretaps. So I, I, oh, hey, Positively Parker. I didn't even see you come in because I was so busy reading. Sorry about that. But yeah, I think I actually think that they would have ended up being able to prosecute them. In fact, to be honest with you, I think that the trials, all of them, would have gone very much like George is going, right? With the meticulous presentation of first the crime scenes, right? Then the autopsy, moving from each crime scene and talking about what occurred at each residence, then having the medical examiner testify to um, the members of the family at each, you know what I'm saying? How they presented it. I think that, to be quite honest with you, I really feel like I don't actually, I was worried before. Okay. I was worried that that they were really going to need Jake and Angela's testimony. But then I listened to the wiretaps were huge. The forensic accountant, huge. And Beth was huge because the stuff that she testified, and it's getting kind of late for me, you guys, so don't be mad, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to get into Beth's testimony tonight, but we will get into it, I promise. We have tomorrow, obviously. So, we'll probably end up just doing that tomorrow, and then Thursday is the Dahmer thing, but I just want to do something really quick while I'm thinking about it. Anyway, after I heard that testimony, I was I felt much more confident that although obviously I want to hear Jake Wagner's testimony, and I think the jury wanted to hear Jake Wagner's testimony, right? I don't think that I was really worried that they were not going to be able to tie George Wagner the fourth to this crime scene. And the fact is, they were able to with the forensic accountant and with Beth, but mainly with those wiretaps, because those conversations that George had really with Angela were very, very telling. They taught, like he and Angela talked about like when the search warrant was served, which of course they're saying there was no search warrant, blah, blah, blah. But there was a search warrant. That's poppycock. But anyway, they were angry because the people that purchased their old property, um, you know, they went and searched there. The BCI went and searched, and they were on the phone bitching about it. And it's not submissible, which dear George Washington Wagner the fourth and Angela Wagner, the word that you're looking for is admissible. I don't even know what submissible is. I don't even know if it's an actual word. Doesn't sound like a word. But they were, and it was interesting because it was more than them just being angry. And the excuse given was that they were worried that the new owner would potentially sue them because they had failed to disclose that they were under an investigation, right? But it was more than that. There was that part where they talk about already trying to come up with a reason why they might find something there. Like, it's been a month. We haven't lived there in a month. How do we know when that got put there? Do you know what I mean? Those were very, very, very telling. Good night, Corky. So I actually don't, I don't think the jury, even if Jake is completely destroyed on cross-examination, which the first thing they're going to do is go to his changing of stories, because at first he said that George wasn't even there at all, and then it was the whole that now he's saying it, and then they're going to go into the plea deal and blah 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 blah. That's, I don't I even if the jury is like, okay, we can't take Jake's words for it, they have George's own words. And so, yeah. So I think that, thank you, Sky Flashed. I appreciate it. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say goodnight to everybody for now. But I've uploaded the Dahmer trailer to StreamYard, so it'll play a lot better. And so I'm going to play that and then end the live. I want to thank you guys all for being here and giving and showing me your support. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. I will be live tomorrow morning to cover the Darrell Brooks closing arguments. And I'm sure it's going to be lit, because I'm sure he's not going to know how to act right, because he hasn't acted right this whole entire time. If you haven't done so already, please give your girl a thumbs up. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I think that's about it. All right. So please enjoy this trailer and let me know what you think. Okay. Good night, y'all. Bye.
After the second time, it seemed like the compulsion to do it was too strong, and I didn't even try to stop it after that. So no, race had nothing to do with it. It was just their looks. After All right, so there you go, you guys. Yes, Vincent's missing ear. Good night, moon. Good night, stars. Good night, Vincent's missing ear. Thank you, Heather, whatever. I appreciate that very much. It was a tough read, but thank you. Oh, thank you, Vincent's missing ear. I appreciate it. I'm going to fix it a little bit because I think the opening title is a little bit too short. I want to make it a little bit longer, but that's the only thing. Just a little bit of tweaking here and there, and I want to fix that part with Dahmer. But that's it, just a little tweaking. All right, you guys, good night. Thank you very much for being here, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning when we watch Mr. Brooks.
All right. Y'all stay safe out here on these real streets and on these YouTube streets. It's dicey out there. Good night, everybody.